Fresh rolls and dry sift, Jameson. Are you ready? That's going to be crazy when they master it. That shit's going to be bonkers, dude.
Yeah, no, it's
all those strains where you lose the terps in the water, that just won't happen anymore. So you're going to get a bunch of stuff that never could get through with the water. You get this huge new flavor barrier that we never could have. That'd be cool.
Super stoked for it. The guy who's on the forefront of that is Tan Hat. He's going around, actually putting it you are every day.
Me and him had a really cool conversation about some stuff he's up to. He's doing great work. Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah.
Dude definitely cares about the resin. He thinks like the resin. He takes it to that extra step. He's pushing, trying new things. It's so scary to try new things because resin is so fucking expensive, and it takes so much energy to create. And if it's hard to want to experiment because it's like, man, it took me all year to make this, or it took me however long it took you to make it. And you didn't make it. Someone else made it, and that someone else is a plant. And then you're just trying to not fuck it up. And it's so, like, for me, I'm like, oh, man, I'm so sorry. I don't want to fuck this up. Like, you grew this, and now I'm just trying to make it not fucked up. So, I don't know. That can be really stressful. So trying new things sometimes is really, really, it's just intimidating,
Oh, for sure.
At least for me.
No, 100% it's intimidating. I think that, great risk, great reward kind of thing. But yeah, shout out to Tan.
That's what I can do while looking in the camera.
There's doing the double bag, switching sides. Seems not
Sometimes I triple, but I'm really low on bags. Yeah, switching flap sides and seam sides.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think it's standard shit, I don't know. Who knows what's standard anymore? I live alone in the Maine. Well, now I live with Mike. Mike's fucking awesome, dude. This guy's a champ.
Bro.
I just yell at him all the time and tell him he doesn't know anything, and he's just like, yep, you're right. And just like crushes it. I can't even break his spirit. He's just he's awesome. But the dude really does know his stuff. We've been coming up with some crazy new flavor ideas and menu concepts I'm really excited about, but they're all top secret so far. So
bro,
forget you heard anything.
That's very cool. I'm excited. I think that
but the straw guava was the straw guava S1. I did 3 packs of straw guava S1, so over 30 females, right? And dude, we found some strawberry ones that are they're pure strawberry, Starburst, strawberry high chew, little bit of bubble gum, but it's just that absolute fake candy strawberry terp exemplified to the maximum. And it's all Mike wants to smoke, so I think it's good.
Yeah.
He's got like eight, I think he got 12 things to smoke on it. He's just keeps going back to that, basically. So it's a good sign.
The jars don't lie. Whatever you want.
Like the people's choice is the people's choice, right?
I'm very excited to see what comes out of this new working relationship.
What you talking about with what we're up to, or something else?
No,
yeah, dude, me too.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, the little thing I'm trying to put together. Yeah, it's dude. If I end up with a fully funded hash lab in New York State that I get to roll through and basically just Jimi Hendrix, and I'm just like, yeah, let me make all the hash real quick, and then I dip out like a rock star. Like that is so fucking dope. And I maybe had to bring other people's materials in and whatnot. It's all probably gonna fall through and not work because that's how most things in life are. But I'm allowed to be excited and it's moving forward. So yeah, it's pretty cool fucking stuff. We'll see.
It seems very cool, man. I'm very excited about it.
Just how tied the whole crew is with the hip hop culture, it's crazy. Like one of the company owners is Cannabis, which is like, I don't know, Cannabis is like one of my favorite battle rappers. So there's just all these different hip hop people involved with the thing if it works. So I'm pretty happy, and it wouldn't have happened if you weren't like, yo, this hash you have is good. You come with me. And I was like, okay, I guess. So it's just, it's been a long ride, but the last year of it has gone really fucking like we've just kicked it into high. We just got on the highway basically. I've been like going through these windy back roads for a really long time, and Jameson's like, "No, dude, take your car out on the highway and watch what it does." I'm like, "Damn, dude, this highway shit's crazy."
Like, you're good for highway driving, bro. Trust me, I'm out there. You're good for the highway.
She's like, "I got your back. You can follow me. We're going on the highway from now on."
100%, bro. No, it's the next generation. You're the next gen. Like, everybody, it's a lot easier for other people to see. Like, it's easier for you to see Mike's value than it is for Mike to see his value. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you're too close to comprehend it sometimes. It's like,
too close to you to really figure it, like, but some other people can just be like, dude, you're just going to kill it. Like T. T is a person that I'm like, yo, T is going to be fucking wildly successful. And T's like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, yo, T. Like, I'm like, just fucking wait. Like, you don't really have to do anything. Like, it's just going to blow up for you. Trust me. So.
It's fucking awesome.
Yeah.
T is such an exceptional, such a special character. Like, to have that work ethic and that, like, very few breeders are like, oh yeah, I actually grow a fuck ton of weed and then I make hash out of it and then I sell hash. Like, I don't think I can think of any other breeder that's actively selling that much hash and making that many crosses for that long. Like that is a perfect storm that I know I, as a hash maker, have kind of been waiting for, because I've been getting to this point where I'm like, these people say they're breeding for hash, but I definitely make more hash than them. And I am not having great results with what they're telling me is happening. So I'm just kind of like, what am I missing? And I feel like what we're all missing is fucking T Beazle, somebody who's actually fucking had to support themselves through making hash for over a decade. And they finally decided to make some seeds to make it easier for themselves and everyone else. It's like, that's the perfect storm we all needed. So. Oh, come on. All right, I think we're going for the big pour.
Oh, bro.
So this was the more difficult portion of the savory sorbet. So in a second, I'll go show you the rest of the savory sorbet, which is all was already sieved. This was like the second half that I couldn't get sieved the first time. Yeah, one sec.
No worries. What do you think of Schwale's work? I've seen a few homies grow some stuff out. He definitely doesn't dip on the fruit side. You don't see a papaya or anything in his work, so a lot of sweet to funky, to earthy, but no fruit. So I'd be interested to see him pull some fruit into that that mix. But good results, good yields. I grabbed a bunch of his stuff. I think I didn't end up. I haven't looked through any of it personally, but I know a couple friends. I know Duff Stank Farm looked through some Sugar Shack, and then the Headphone Jam was a really unique terp.
That sounds cool.
Yeah, cool things in the head. I don't know the cross, but it's like it's the Baker's Dozen male that he had crossed in, and I think the Baker's Dozen is cookies and cream backed, like, I think, with something else. But yeah, definitely somebody who's about the resin.
Pretty good. I'm trying to a little focus on, so you guys can see what's happening, but I am bent over in a freezer, so bear with me.
I like it. We're just packing resin into
This is
bag.
the rest of the savory sorbet, yeah. So like that tray I did was fresh out of the freeze dryer. I sieved and then bagged. This is all the stuff like that was already sieved once, and whatever didn't make it through, had some ice, went back in the freezer. So this is the rest of like, this was the easier to sieve of the batch. Yeah. That's why that stuff was all chunky, because I like took it out, sieved it a little bit, threw it back in.
Yeah.
Oh, that's too much.
Doesn't his headphone jam.
Dude, headband's awesome. Dude, some of that Jarro stuff that we made for the melting of the heads, like when that Jarro comes through and really bangs that headband, like it's something special. I got to get my hands on some Jarro work from me and Gene. Shit is no joke.
Yeah.
So I'm pretty excited. It looks like that spot in New York, there's an acre to cultivate.
Oh,
so
wow.
I might be able to, so I'm going to be able to participate and have a little bit of influence on how they do that, bring a little K&F into it. I won't be like the head farmer, but I'll only be able to have a little bit of influence, and it'll be completely separate from everything I'm doing in Maine other than me. So it's going to be much more like laid back and fun, where the way I do things at my house, I'm very, very strict about,
Yeah.
So it'll be different in that sense. So yeah.
That's gonna. I mean, I think you'll bring the same attitude to the hash. No.
Oh, absolutely. It's just more about hash is nice because it's definitely stressful, but it's so finite in comparison. Like when I'm thinking about growing, I'm thinking about like everything I'm feeding the plant. What did they eat? And then what did that thing eat? And then what did that thing eat? And it just gets really like a lot to like think about. And every move, I'm thinking about a lot of steps. But when the plants are already there, all that stuff is done, right? So all that part, I'm just like, cool. Now I just need to not mess up the resin, and it's a different level of stress. It doesn't require as much forethought. It requires a lot of attention in the moment, which keeps me actually more grounded. So I kind of like it in that sense. It's like a little more like you're like the cook on the line, like line cooks. They don't have time to think about, oh, I had a bad day. Like they can think about that after work. They're too busy to even think about anything other than cooking. So
yeah,
that's kind of how hash is for me.
That's true. There's hella more fucking variables going on. If you really,
they're just variables that aren't your variables. Like with hash, it's very clear what you can do and what you can't do. With growing, it's like, whose water is this? Who peed in the water 500,000 years ago? Like there's just so much that's like, because you're trying to like partner with nature, but then humans already fucked up nature. So you're like, man, it's like, how do I fix the nature so that it can help me help itself? And yeah. There's just, for me, it's just a very like, it's just a big question and a lot of pieces. But hash making is very detailed, but it's a little more finite in time.
Yeah.
It's like we're just trying to freeze everything and not let anything happen in time. So it's kind of I don't know, different feel. And rant. So I was out of bags, and Mike was just like, oh, I got these Robin and Evolution bags. And I was like, dude, go fuck yourself. I use pure pressure bags. And then I started using them, and I was like, damn, I like these way better. I'm such a clown. So these are really nice.
Yo, Rob's Evolution's legit, bro.
Dude, it's super legit. So just so everyone knows, I'll tell you why I'm saying that. It's not because Jameson paid me $5,000, which he obviously did. It's because these actually have a seam. So they're super flat. You see how flat they are? The pure pressure bags are really round. And when you take one bag and try to stick it in another bag, that round thing doesn't work. And the flat seams make it really easy to find the corner and then just like pop the corner right in. Obviously, I can't do it because now I told everybody I could do it. But yeah, there's something about these bags that are way easier to double bag because they were stamped flat at some point in time. And my biggest complaint with the pure pressure bags right now is that they are not stamped flat. I will say these 2-inch Rosin Evolution bags do not fit correctly on a pure pressure plate. So I'm actually going to go buy a bunch of 175s And I recommend everybody that has a pure pressure press do the same because the twos are too big and they fucking want to slip and pop out. So, but even with all that slippage, no fucking breaking. So definitely tough bags. Even at 25s, I normally like 36s, and these are 25 microns. And yeah, and I like them. High Tide, you like the press club? I'll check them out. I'll see what their sizes are because my thin plates are kind of strange, so I'll check them out.
What size? What size are your plates?
Hope you're doing good, High Tide. Hope you're chilling.
Can you hear me?
What'd you say?
I said, what size are your plates?
Oh, well, they're pure pressure, so they're 2 inches thick. So really thin and long. They're like I think they're like 2x9s or something like that.
True.
Yeah. So they're just like, so the 175s are like what I really dig out of the. I mean, I have twos and they're a little big, so I'd like the 175s from Rosin Evolution. That's my goal. So I'm gonna order a batch of them or a custom set. I'm not sure if I'm gonna just do because there are ones they have are like not that long. So I was thinking of doing two on the plate at a time, but we'll see what happens. But yeah. So I told you about the straw nana. They are the straw guava S1. I told you about the grease bucket that I like. There was two that I kept, but the banana forward one is the one I prefer. And then there's two savory sorbets. So I think you're pretty much caught up on the pheno hunt, so to speak.
I'm stoked, bro. I'm stoked to see what makes the final. So are you like, you're down to, are you going to keep everything there or are you still deciding?
I've got it down to one straw guava S1. I've got it down to one grease bucket. We haven't picked on the savory sorbet. So this one I'm running right here. Like everything else was just a jar's worth of like we just test washed, like in a mason jar. This was actually a full plant that was like over a pound that I washed, and the plant did fucking amazing. The resin was good to wash. The resin's a little tough to work with out of the bag, but it was a really thick tray, so I'll give it some slack. But the savory sorbet is the only one we haven't picked like one over the other, and I might keep both because they're different enough. I don't keep both if they're similar, but if someone smokes them and was like, oh yeah, I don't really, these are what are these two plants, and they can't figure out they're the same, then I'll consider keeping them. If they're going to be pretty similar, I probably won't keep them.
Yeah. That's cool, man.
So yeah, the savory sorbet is the only one we might keep both of. But this savory sorbet is hitting the market literally in like, I don't know, fucking 30 hours. So yeah, it's gonna be crazy. This is a good one. It's a new one. It's bred in Maine. I don't know. It's pretty cool.
Man, the terps on it sound like it's yeah.
Dude, I pulled a tray out of the freeze dryer and I smelled it and it just smelled like butter. Like it has some really interesting things going on with it, and I definitely see why homie named it savory sorbet because there is some ice creaminess or like some sherbertiness to it, but there's also a lot of deep funk and some really interesting chemi notes that actually come through in I don't know, just in an irregular manner. Some dinner terps a little bit. I would say maybe not quite as crazy as the brunch as far as like the brunch actually has sausage, but pretty close. So we'll see if it holds up.
Yeah, those savory terps are always a trip. I don't find them.
Yeah, right?
Yeah. There was a Crescendo, the Canadian dab selected that was like a chicken soup, like a chicken and corn soup. Like so good.
Wow.
Like if you were just sitting there smoking it, you might get like a little sick of it if you're just dab after dab. But if you had it as like a unique offering, it was amazing because it was like, oh my God, this is so exotic. But if you had to take 10 dabs of it back to back, by like the 6th dab, you'd be like, it's just like such a unique terp. I love it. It's amazing.
That's awesome. I feel like I don't know. Do you think savory flavors are gonna be
No.
like a pocket? You think they're always gonna stay on the outskirts?
Yeah, I think like that's really weird for people and hard for people to wrap their heads around. And unless there's like a profound medicinal or effect that can be correlated with those savory terts that, you know, a vast majority of the general public could benefit from. I think that like meat breath and things like that, like I think that even GMO is like an acquired taste, and then yeah, I think it'll be niche. I think if you were looking at market, if you're looking at trying to grow flower for the market, you would be limiting yourself going rec with something that was like super savory. I could be wrong, but that's my opinion.
Yeah, I no, I think that's a good point. Like if it's pure savory and that's, most of your menu, that's probably dicey, Um, but yeah, I am interested to see how much of that really shows up. Like to me, it's still so crazy how much acrid flavor there is. And you don't really get those in anything else, like not in the food we eat, not in many things we drink. Beers get a little bit acrid, like with hoppiness, but yeah, I don't know. It's like interesting to me that fruit and all that stuff is there, but there isn't really just like regular food terps. I mean, I get a little bit of onion rings out of Lightspeed 4, and there's different stuff like that. So I don't know. I guess it is peeling in, but
Yeah. Yeah.
we've been getting some serious onion rings
If
out
it's
of the
not
Lightspeed.
center and there's like a savory note that can be noted, I think that that's novel and would be like the entry level. But if it's straight savory, like chicken and corn, like I don't think many people are ready for a chicken and corn.
I think if you were out in the cold rain all day,
Oh,
you came in and took that warm chicken and corn dab, you would be medicated based on principle alone.
not many people. Let me be clear. I love this resin with a passion. It's like it you can find your user base. Like once these markets mature a little bit and you have heavy users seeking their regular daily supply from more of them seeking their regular daily supply from legal avenues, you're going to be able to see, some guys dial in some really weird stuff and just serve. Like I still think that there needs to be a company in Canada that just grows OG Kush. It's just like, or just Pink Kush because it's Canadian, and you just say we're on Pink Kush, and and kind of putting their flag there. So
I'm gonna be like me and Mike. It was like Mike's idea more so than mine. We're gonna do a lot more stuff where we're gonna have like cycles. So like everything that's on the menu this time isn't going to be on the menu next time, and then it'll oscillate back and forth, so people get to see more stuff, and I can run more exotic things without having to feel like I got to run it all the time just because I run it once in a while. It's a better way for me to like shuffle in the green taffy and the Princess Peach and the Loose Lucy and some of these plants that they're a little tougher, a little riskier to grow. So like I think that could be fun. So if people are doing, that with a savory thing, that could work because it's like, oh well, they only release it, twice a year. It's like the pumpkin spice, right? You kind of hit it like the pumpkin spice vibe.
Yeah, you kind of got to. I think if you're gonna try and not just like stay in one lane and serve, say like a gas clientele, and you're trying to do the full service, you need to really learn how to develop that seasonal change where you're able to work in new cultivars but keep some consistency and learn what people like, what sells when. And I think that learning that is really part of the new world of being able to be independent like you're trying to set yourself up as, which I think is awesome.
Yeah, that's solid. I like that idea.
sales patterns. That's what it is.
Yeah, I wonder, kind of like, yeah, I don't know. It's like I feel like sales patterns can be misleading, but like, because like you kind of need enough. You need to put the thing out enough that people know that they like it. So if you like put something out and they're like, oh, people didn't like it, and it's like, well, did people really try it?
Yeah.
Right? It's like whether people buy it and whether people like it are almost not related, right? So that's like kind of a tough bridge. I feel like how do they do that in sales? Like how do they normally? Oh, my phone's gonna die here in a couple minutes.
I mean, quantifying it through like a test area, like taking it out and then polling people is how they would do it in like modern day sales, or bringing people into and paying them for their time and then asking them questions. Do you like this or this? Do you like that or this? But, you know, you got to be able to get it.
That's what I got you for.
Yeah.
That's why I let you guys smoke all my hash. Who cares with these, you know, who you gonna bring in that's better than you and MTS and Mission Hill, right? It's like,
that's the organic,
but
that's the right way, but that's how big business is doing it is different.
Right.
How we do it is, you know, we actually go up and attend events, compete, and understand that, you know, culture, and it'll all support.
Do you think there's validity in getting opinions from people that consume little hash? Like, so maybe a seasoned smoker like this thing, but when you talk to, you know, like Tangy is kind of what a lot of people like if they have no experience. Also, other people like Tangy too. I don't have anything against it. I think oranges are delicious. But like there's certain flavors that might be like, you might want to test on novices to see how novices respond, you know?
Yeah. I think that you have to get to a level of consumption where you can handle the cannabinoids to a point where the effect doesn't cloud away the flavor profile of, you know, a subsequent dab or even that first dab. And so I think that a new palate to dabbing and even an intermediate palate, like you've seen it when you've given someone an incredible dab of some incredible resin and they're like, oh, that's really good. And you're like, oh, like you would have given that same reaction if I would have given you 45. Because like I've done that where like you give them amazing stuff. And they're like, oh man, that was really good. And then an hour later, they're like, could I have another one? And then you give them like the Snickle Fritz and they're like, dude, that was awesome. And you're like, And I just feel like, I feel like that there's a steep mountain to actually understanding quality resin. I think that a lot of people on the way just kind of stop climbing. They're like, this is good. This is where I like it. And very few people like push it. And I feel like only people, I really don't feel like people who are smoking 1 or 2 or 3 dabs a day can truly judge resin, because you have to be able to be looking through a large amount, which means you almost have to take the effect out of it and just be looking for flavor profile and really those effects that push through on someone that's really has a really high tolerance. So like I think that if you ask the new beginner to come in and taste hash and you gave him the number 1 pick and you gave him the highest and lowest ranking of the competition, I don't think that they'd be able to discern between the two. I could be wrong, but that's my opinion.
No, that's super good. That's like a super good point. I think that makes a lot of sense. I haven't had that experience, but I haven't had a contradictory experience either. So that's super valid, JMO.
There's a lot of people dabs, and like I love sharing really good resin with people, but I love sharing it when people appreciate it, and I can tell when and I've done the experiment because I bring out all different grades of resin, and I'll give someone something nice, and then and you realize you're like, oh, that's cool. I can share the experience of resin with you with a much lower grade of resin, and you're going to have the same enjoyment level as I do with a very high grade of resin. And there's nothing wrong with that, right? Like we all smoked shatter. I smoked some nasty ass shit. We all did. And we all thought it was really good at the time, or you know, there were so many times
it was really good at the time.
Yeah. And what I thought
at the time, like Nug Run BHO was fucking lit.
that shit was not. We didn't think it was lit. It was lit at the time, right?
Yeah.
So
like,
no,
yeah.
that's a beautiful point. It's like if you don't have the capacity to actually look through stuff, then how much opinion can you really, how much opinion can you really create, right?
Yeah.
No, it's a super. I guess what I was like parallel to that concept. I guess what I'm wondering is if people. So you remember how I was saying like I think skunk is a lack of exposure to terpenes, and because you don't know cannabis super well, that's what you get when you're not getting fruit. You kind of get the other side. But anyway, I wonder if there's some shit that actually like is just generally more pleasing to someone with less saturation of terpenes. So if somebody that has, because most older women are like, oh, that smells like skunk. That's gross, right? That's what they all say. They all think everything is RKS, right?
Yeah.
So how is that possible? Because we can't find RKS and they think everything's RKS, right? So there's some disconnect.
Yeah.
So what if do they all like strawberry? Like what is the most pleasant starter you can't argue this tastes bad, right? Flavor.
Each strawberry, orange, citrus is, if you look at like what nicotine companies use to addict people, citrus is pretty alluring and addictive. But like,
now I feel like we're like scheming to get everybody.
No, that's what the nicotine companies are doing. But yeah, like to me, it's the variable that you deal with dabbing that you don't deal with combustion is a temperature variable, right? Like combustion's combustion. You're always at that combustion temperature.
Well, there's glass, there's joints, and they combust differently, right? Because
much agreed, but to a much smaller variable than the variability of dabbing a resin at a different temperature, right? Like smoking flower in a joint versus smoking it in glass, nuance difference, but difference albeit. But taking that resin, extracting it, smoking that resin at 420 and smoking that resin at 620, completely different. And that's the variable that you deal with dabbing, where it's like you bring in somebody new for like a staff pick or whatever, and unless that person can absorb more than 5 dabs, after that first dab, well, the first dab's going to be their favorite, and they might not probably want one after that. So I feel like you have to expose the palate to, like, it'd be like asking me to tell you good wine. Like, it would be fucking laughable. And I would probably pick the cheap wine that tastes like sugar water because I don't like wine. And then they'd be like, well, this is like Jameson, the Hashwatch attended like the highest of high wine competitions, and we're going to have Hashwatch's pick. And Hashwatch's pick is like grape juice. It's actually Welch's grape juice. He didn't like any of the wines. And like, everybody would be like, bro, why are you inviting Hash? He doesn't even drink alcohol. And I'd be like, yeah, we probably shouldn't have Hashwatch here. He should probably stay in his hash fucking squatching circles. And I'd be like, yeah, you're right, man. Like, you gotta live this stuff. Like, I am all about like opening up the industry and entry level, and like welcoming new people in. Like, I'm all about it. But like to judge a competition or to even select somebody like you who dedicates their entire life to resin, it's like, to sit as that judge, it's hard. I mean, judging is like, you ask these old heads, they don't want to judge anymore. Like Kaya doesn't want to judge anymore. He's like, bro, it's a lot. Like, it's pressure, it's responsibility, and you got to smoke a lot of resin in a short amount of time. You got to give everybody their fair shake. Like, it's a lot. So I think judges are like serious judges. Hash judges are champions, just like resin makers. Not as big, but they're there,
No, absolutely. And I feel like they're probably newer. Like the act of someone spending like hours, well, I guess maybe not. I guess that is what you do. I mean, a lot of people do that. I don't know. It's like, what came first, the hash, the person speculating over how good the hash is, or the maker of the hash, right? They're almost hand in hand and timeless together.
Yeah.
right? I mean, if there's hash being produced, you're going to try to figure out which one's the best one, right? And that's what a hash judge is. Like, they're experientially trying to conclude which hash is the best, which I think is the only way and the only thing that matters. But
yeah, and like TNT, like the resin doesn't judge itself. Like I kind of get what you're like alluding to, but like we've all identified that at a certain point, these resin competitions are personal preference. Like the resin gets to a certain level of quality, and then we all have recognized that it's like, well, after it's checked all the quality boxes, it's like, do I like this or that? And so I think that the same way figure skaters and their coaches develop game plans based on the judges that they're going to have at their Worlds or the Olympics or whatever, knowing that Svetlana Slovenia from Slovakia likes fucking backspins a little bit, like, and she grades extra good for backspins. And them knowing that knowledge from being on the scene for however many years they've been on gives them the advantage over the Canadians who are new to the scene, who don't know Svetlana likes the backspins, and they take the backspin out of their routine, don't get the points for Svetlana, lose the like all these little things need to be nuanced into, like, you know, because at some point we need to recognize, like, okay, all the hash is fucking incredible. Now this is just a pissing contest, and the judges are deciding, and it's literally just it's, you know, this is how we compete, and every competition is going to be a little bit different, and we're going to change it up, but like, this is us coming together and competing. And when you ask the guys that enter, like, yeah, it really helps, and it really is a boost of confidence if it wins, but it's also like, there's very much just the camaraderie of competing and talking about resin and being in that room.
If you're not excited to like participate and get some expert opinions on your resin versus other people, and you're just there to like prove that you're the best, then you might not have a good time. But if you're there to just immerse yourself with other people that spend so much time doing this, that they want to see, you know, how they rank up with other people, and they want people that they respect in the space to judge them, like, then you're probably going to have a fun time, you know? Yeah. So it's, you know, and that's the same way with most sports, right? If you go into playing basketball to think that you're going to be the best basketball player in the world and nothing's ever going to stop you, you're going to have a lot of rough nights, you know? But if you're just like, I just want to play basketball because it's what I love and I'm going to give it my all no matter what, it's going to be hard to not have a fun time, you know? So the way you approach competition, especially with weed, dude, it's like, it's fucking weed. Like, don't be crazy egotistical. The goal is to get a bunch of people stoned. Like, if you win, you get the most people stoned. Like, it's not that serious, right? Like, it's about the plants, and it's about trying your best, and everybody's good grow is like, everyone's good grow is better than everyone else's worst grow. You know what I mean? Like, that's the reality of it. So it's not like because I won some competition or I didn't win some competition, like, now I'm always at that level. Like, that's not how it works. You can have an off grow. You can have a good grow. You can get a plant from a friend, and then you lose the plant, and then you're like, oh, now I'm not good at growing resin anymore because that plant won, not me, right? So you gotta just take it easy and have some fun. But if you're there because judging your resin against your other friends and peers and maybe enemies in the space is what you're meant to do, you're gonna have fun. Like, if you take the competition as just a sign of quality, you know, it's fun that way, I think, you know.
Yeah.
Like, I've been at competitions where I've got like knots in my stomach, and I've been like, holy fuck, I didn't place, and you know what I mean? And it's like, doesn't feel good, and it's not fun. And you need to like set yourself up to be like, I'm here to get beat by whoever the fuck the best is. And if that's me, then I hope everyone else is here to get beat by whoever the fuck the best is, right? Because it's like, you don't want to win if you're not the best, right? So if you're just there to win and not be the best, that's like different, right? So the goal is to find out who's the best and how we all rank up. And if you're there to participate in that collectively, then, you know, shouldn't be getting, it takes a little bit.
What you said, it's like, it was just fucking that day. Like, people need to get out their fucking feelings and be like, oh man, like, it needs to be more like, I'm gonna get you next year. I'm gonna get you next year.
Yeah.
I mean, like, it can't be like, oh, he's not the best, I'm the best. It's like, he's the best today, bro. He was just the best.
Right.
Like, today.
Like, the judges hated orange, and he was the best today. Like, there's a few factors, right? It's like, what do the judges like? How was everybody on that day? You know, there's a lot.
Oh, yeah. If we flew in a judge panel from somewhere where they were like tangerine and orange and fanatics, somebody else would have won. You know, like the judge's palate, where they're from, and what's so interesting is like having some insight, being the guy who organized it, on where the judges all voted, and it's cool because you look at like where they're from and the votes, and it's just like, oh, this is fucking wild. You're like, there's some very interesting correlations and differences, and even
just gas to fruit.
Yeah, from
like just
both from the same place, you know.
So you can look at just Ross Kaya's 2 entries, just seeing the and pretty much same with me, right? So if you see in the melt category, it's he wins with the fruit and he takes second with the gas. Yeah. And then my melt, I get third with the candy, and I take second with like basically the gassy earth.
Yeah.
So it's very clear that the whole thing was calibrated in favor of fruit and candy, right? So then you take that into consideration, and then you relook at who won the rosin. It's literally grapes and then papayas and then me with fucking Swedish fish, right? So it's literally, so you look at like all, like, you know, you just look at it that way. You start to realize like, fuck, I hope I didn't enter a gas, because if you did, you're like kind of beat. So I entered one of each for every category, right? I entered a gas and a fruit in both categories, because I knew it was going to polarize, and I didn't want to get caught, you know, on the wrong side of the polarity. So
yeah, and Mission got caught. Like Mission's entry, looking back, was one of the highest I scored. Just straight OG terps in rosin with a little bit of sweetness, and like not a bit. Like he got 9th. And I was like, bro, that's a podium rosin. Like, I smoked it. I was like, bro, this is fire. Like, this is so good.
I got to imagine it's West Coast people being overly exposed to OGs. Like, I can't think of anything other than, you know what I mean? Yeah. It's like coming to the East Coast and trying to win with a chem. It's like, you might, but you're going to have a lot of people that are just, it's a good option. I'm probably going to enter a chem over here if we go over here, but it's like, you got to expect that they're just going to be like, oh, yeah, I've seen that before, right? They're just gonna be used to it. Where if you catch them off guard with something new, like that Hascap sour, if you like gases, it's different. Like it's got that black currant, it's got that like grape nerd black currant back end that makes the sour like you're like, oh, what the fuck? Like it just catches you off guard a little bit. So
yeah, no,
and that shit didn't do.
That Hascap is undoubtedly special.
Well, there's two. Yes, there's the sour and the preserve. I have the Hascap Preserve, which is.
I had that.
No, it's very similar to the brunch, the 9.5 though. So the Hascap Preserve is like orange starburst with lime peel, and then when it cold cures, it turns into like almost pure grapefruit high chew. So it's really cool. It kind of goes through this whole citrus gambit, and you can just cure it out to the citrus you want. So if you marble it, it'll be lime and like melted lime peels and orange starburst. And then if you let it go all the way to white and whip it, it just goes straight grapefruit candy. So it's really nice. If you like citrusy stuff, it's a banger. I mean, it's as good as any, you know, trop or, you know, any of those other things, right? It's built on mimosa and lime, black lime special reserve. So the Hascap is Sunday Driver, mimosa, grape pie, is Hascap. Right, so you've got a little bit of everything, and the grape comes out with the Hascap sour, but the orange, the mimosa really comes out in the Hascap Reserve because the lime kind of brings it out, right? The black lime special reserve that makes the Hascap Reserve yanks out all the citrus, and the citrus just dominates through. So yeah, they're both really fucking cool. I'm excited to grow more stuff from Woodstock. I think I'm going to grow their Dagwood next, which is a sour dub hit with the Wonder Bread male, which is wedding cake, OG Kush breath, and what's the other one? Mac. So it's literally just like this super cookie mashup, and he's like, dude, this thing crushed everything, and then took it on over.
Are you running any Little Lake?
I'm not. I've been plotting. I'm plotting and scheming. I was thinking about going. I'm between going. Man, I got so much fucking stuff to pop. I've got Pink Lemonade gear coming from Ross Kaya Paul too. So I'm just like, spread in so many directions. Yeah. So, yeah, was that, yeah, the ranch, dude. Yeah, dude. You guys know Woodstock, dude. Yeah. Sam and Ange they're amazing. They're fucking phenomenal humans. They're amazing farmers, and they really care about breeding. Yeah. Sunday brunch is fucking cool. So I've got the brunch. The 9-5 is the Sunday brunch BX1 number 9. And that's their selection that he gave me. And that's the only plant that I have on my farm that isn't mine, like that I didn't select. So I don't take plants from a lot of people. So I think that says enough about how I feel about those people. They're awesome. And dude, the brunch really has sausage fucking terps. Like, dude, it gets gnarly. Like it'll lure you in with the mimosa, and then it'll punch you right in the face with all sorts of craziness.
Wow. It's wild.
Fucking love
when
it.
When you first described it, I was like, all right, nah. I'm like, I'll try it, but no way. And then you're like, bro, what is that? Did I just taste all those things?
It's wild. They were gonna give me the plant, and I was like, so what is this plant like? Like I get like, cause it dumped on Hash for him, and he was like, dude, you should have this. Like you will do this justice. You know what I mean? Like this plant needs to be for you. And I was like, dude, thank you so much. Like this is awesome. And but it's like we were out at dinner, so I'll never forget. We go to hibachi every time Professor P comes to town. He takes everybody to the hibachi, which I don't know why, but that's where we all go eat. We all go eat the hibachi. So I was sitting next to Woodstock at the hibachi, and I'm like, "Yo, like, tell me about this shit." And they're like, "Just imagine everything at a brunch, like all the like," and they just start describing everything at a brunch, and I'm just like, "All right, well, you just described." Like it can't. You think like I guess you're just fucking with me. Like I don't really. It can't be everything at a brunch. And then It's like, dude. Honestly, sometimes the flour smoke you get like raspberry jam on waffles. Like there's like so many fucking flavors hidden in that plant. I'm excited to see what else they do with it because that back cross is really special, and the half cap out crosses have been really good too. So, yeah, it's just been fucking sick. Yeah, I've got some brunches in the greenhouse banging right now. They're doing really good. They're super big comparatively.
That's another Woodstock being slept on, dude. Putting in the work.
Oh yeah. Don't even tell people. I don't even want people to know. I'm like, leave all that shit for me. You guys just keep buying fucking Sea Junkie packs. Like I don't even care. I'll just keep getting Woodstock gear, dude. Woodstock brings the heat. Yeah, super slept on. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, Professor P super slept on. Woodstock super slept on. Those guys actually make hash. Like they can actually just be like, yeah, dude, I actually made hash out of that. It was good. Like, it's a very direct interaction with farmers that grow weed and smoke their weed and make hash and smoke their hash. It's just very straightforward. Like I think Professor P's had bubble bags since before I was in high school. You know what I mean? It's just like you gotta kind of like remember we're not, like I'm young and I'm doing it, but people have been doing it for a while. Green Source is like Woodstock's favorite breeder, right? So Green Source is like, I mean, P is too as well, but like Green Source fucking gets it. He's super slept on. I mean, that dude makes serious line work, and his resin was amazing. Did you smoke any of the resin he brought?
Bro,
dude, that guy does not fuck around. Outdoor, he washed like outside under moonlight. Like that shit is fucking magic, Yeah, that shit's magic.
I couldn't smoke it all, so I gave it to Mike, but I smoked some of it, and I was like, damn.
Dude, Mike immediately went and got a bunch more. He was like, holy shit. And he was selling that resin for so cheap. Like, he was like, dude, it was like dumb cheap. I think it was like 40 a gram or something for like 5.5, 6-star melt all the way up. It was
big ass jar. He gave me a big fucking jar. I was like, bro, like, give him a big hug.
Yeah, so that's a dude. Another way I think about it is like, who do I want to give my money to when I'm buying seeds? Like, do I want to give my money to fucking, Cookie Fam or like, or whatever? Like, Exotic Mike is cool. I fuck with the dude, but like, it's like not my lifestyle. Like, I want to support people that are like really care about the planet. People like Ross Kaya Paul that are like dedicated to making the best thing they can all the time, right? Like, those are like I see Archive and I'm like, dude, he's doing amazing line work with stuff that has great bag appeal, huge yields, cares about resin production. That dude was one of the first people to ever purchase a freeze dryer. Like if you actually know history, like Fletch from Archive was like on that shit. Like that dude knows resin. So it took me a long time to, kind of put people in piles, like, who I do want to give my money to and who I think is paying attention to like what's good for cannabis as a whole and, all that kind of stuff. But the ranch is on here and I just gave that dude a bunch of money. I was like, dude, fucking give me fucking pineapple terps. What are you doing? So, it's like
work. That's fucking
be paying attention to people that do a good job and they care about what they're doing and they're going to spend their money to like better their family and, like make a healthy lifestyle and support their dogs and, just that kind of stuff. It's like, not whipping around a Mercedes and being flashy. I don't know. For me, that's like, that matters,
For sure. 100%, bro.
Anyway, I got to go see the rest of this hash and fucking, get back to it.
Get to it, brother. It was great chatting with you, man.
So Mike is going to start curating you a special Sasquatch corner in the freezer. So I told him to get after it. So, it's going to get real. It's going to be peach heavy, but I think you're going to want more than just peach. So I got a few indoor peach plants coming down next round. So I'll put some peach in there.
I'm okay with peach heavy. I'm okay with peach heavy.
Yeah, but dude, there's some good stuff you don't want to miss.
Oh, I know.
We're actually cold curing some Lightspeed 4 right now. I never cold cure shit, but it kind of wanted to auto butter on me off the plate. So I was like, fuck it, time to do some science. So we'll see how it is.
Interested to hear about what that terp profile is like.
Yeah, it's a battle between Funyuns and Skittles all the time. It's like onion rings versus blue raspberry.
Right?
It's never been cold cured, no.
Yeah, so
never ever.
Eat something. It's going to be predominantly one. It's going to be interesting. I'm interested to hear what you say.
It's a big battle, right? Here it is.
Yeah. I'm interested to hear what Mike says.
Mike says I don't know what I'm doing and I should quit. He's been pretty hard on me lately.
That's a lie. Mike's the best. What up, Mike?
Mike is the best.
Yo, you smoking good?
Lightspeed 4 makes me feel like I'm in space.
Oh, man, it's already greased now. How do I show this? So, you see those little grease puddles already?
Yep.
Sorry.
This is only from a few hours, too.
This has only been off the press for like 3 hours.
Holy shit.
Yeah. Like, I think we were pressing like almost at dark. Not at dark, but, not long ago. So, we'll see. Dude, this shit was not, this is the hardest thing for me to offer as fresh press because it's just like gone. But as resin, as full melt, it stays pretty fucking stable. Something about cracking those heads that like once you unleash the beast, man, it's like, I gotta put this lid on tight. Yeah, once you unleash the beast,
that's real. 3 hours off the press?
Yeah.
Yeah, right? Yeah, something like that. 3-4 hours maybe.
Yeah.
So
this was like the last thing we pressed.
That's crazy.
I'm trying to see, where were those little grease pools? Yeah, like that's like there's like little grease pools already.
It was like sitting in room temp basically.
That's fucking wild.
I've got I had it next to the freeze dryer to give it a little like 5 degrees over ambient kind of punch, Thought that would help. We were trying to get it off the side, stuck on the sidewall. So I was like, give it a little heat. So,
yeah.
I think that's still cold cure. I don't know what the rules are anymore.
Bro, the rules are you make the rules.
The rules don't work for me because my resin won't go through the sieve. So fuck the rules, all right? That's what I got to say. Dude, all right, we should get out of here.
All right, brother. Great chatting with you.
Peace. All right, man. Have fun.
Brother. Have a good day. Peace, bro.
See you later.
Yo, shout out Terp Hunter. Hope you guys doing good. Friday special episode, Mission Hill Melts on Between Two Heads with a special announcement on it. So tune in. I think that's 1 p.m. Pacific Standard. It's a bit of an odd time, but that's when we're rocking it. I will be at Grow Up in Niagara Falls on Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday. And then I'm going to head down to Cali for the Redwood Terp Tour. So if you're in NorCal or heading to NCRC, make sure you hit me up. And yeah, hope everybody has a good night. Take it easy. Peace, everyone.